Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is one of our Learning Partner webinars. I'm Thomas Carlson with Knowledge Point, and it's my pleasure to be joined by Lorinda Maneger, who's the Director of Partnerships at Global eTraining. And the purpose of today's session is to get you introduced to Lorinda and her team, and of course, talk a lot about Global eTraining and their offer out to you as learning partners. This is kind of a follow-up from the summit in Morocco. For those of you who were there, you actually have already met Lorinda. I think she was there at the event together with her colleagues. But if you weren't in Morocco, then this is also a perfect session to learn more, as said, and get to hear about global e-training. Our agenda is pretty straightforward. So we'll start with these short introductions. I'll then hand over to Lorinda so that she can talk us through how Global eTraining works and show us their platform and the different courses they have on Autodesk products. We should have plenty of time for Q&A and questions, and feel free to type in your questions. We muted the phone lines as we normally do in these sessions, just because we're recording it for those who couldn't join. If you then want a recording, we'll email out to everyone who's registered, so that will come most likely tomorrow. But if you would mind using the chat and Q&A buttons to type in your questions, then I'm sure that Lorinda will do her best to answer them. And with that, that's kind of my introduction. So I'll say once again, Lorinda, really nice that you're here, and I'd like to hand over to you to share a bit more about Global eTraining.
Okay, so we're here to talk about Autodesk Learning Partners, all of you in ATCs and Global eTraining. So, as Thomas had mentioned, I was in Morocco at the ALP Summit, and also we had recently launched this entire program, actually at AU or just shortly before AU. So many of you should be familiar with us. For those of you that aren't, I am going to do a little bit of a refresh and then dive into some of the programs that we can be working with you as ATCs or ALPs in conjunction with Global eTraining. So some of this may be, again, a little bit of a recap. We're looking at some of the reports that we have seen over the year. So really key things that we're seeing in the advent of all of this technology that is coming out. And what we're seeing is the technology is increasing, or the rate of technology and is increasing faster than we are keeping up. So in pretty much any industry, but especially in AEC, training has seemed to be the number one issue that we are having, and the number one thing that we need in order to drive successful technology adoption and talent retention in our clients or our AEC firms. So as this slide says, 42% of the AEC professionals are identifying that a lack of training is the primary barrier to AI adoption, and 94% of employees are expressing a willingness to stay longer at companies that are investing in their own learning. The Autodesk Stated Design and Make report, I believe most of you should be familiar with this, but if not, we'll recap. So the biggest challenges that we're seeing in the industry right now, 75% of firms are reporting a difficulty in finding qualified staff. Obviously, that's where you guys all come in. 64% of leaders are saying that a lack of skilled talent is the top barrier to adopting new tech. And only 54% of CIOs and industry professionals are saying that they believe their workforce has the right skills that they need today. So there's massive pressure to accelerate the tech adoption, again, because it's changing faster than we're adapting to it, and those digital workflows. The technical skills shortage is a key challenge for all of our AEC and M&E firms. So what are we looking at? There is a really defined shift in the industry from hire ready, so people that are already trained and ready to go. We're not finding those anymore. So we need to develop them from within. And so digital training is the strategic response to that skills gap crisis that we're seeing. So what we're looking at is we need just-in-time learning at scale. We need it to be trackable, we need it to be reportable, and we need it to be customizable. And we need it to support onboarding, upskilling, and tech adoption. So what Autodesk has actually released as what works. This was their recommendations, and it, just so happens we check all of these boxes. So we need an AI powered learning platform to accelerate the onboarding and skills alignment. We need to be able to perform skills gap assessments and deliver personalized training tiled to our clients' real workflows. And we need to be able to combine autonomous learning with contextual tools to embed learning into daily tasks. So, a little bit of history when it comes to global eTraining. We've been, oh, is that just going to keep playing? We've been in the industry for over 40 years now, almost 30 as an ATC. We started originally as an ATC in Canada, and we were looking for online training to augment what we were doing in our physical college, in our classrooms, and that was 18 years ago now. So that is originally how Global eTraining was born. We originally started with just the Autodesk library, and I think we started with even just 8 courses. And even at the time, Autodesk told us technical training cannot be done online. And since then, now 18 years ago, we're partnered with Autodesk to deliver these programs. And you can see by this spoke wheel, if you will, all of the different areas that we are touching on. So it's not even just a training platform anymore. We're actually delving a little bit more into knowledge management, which is what the clients are really looking for. So we definitely have the largest course library. We have AI powered course creation. We have custom content builders. We have knowledge assessments and skills matrices. We have secure and compliant platforms, and so on and so forth. So touching on that, what it was we were looking for when we were looking to build a platform, it was really centered around the learner's experience. So as I mentioned, we originally came from the background of instructors. We had a physical college. And so we understand as instructors, as I'm sure you all do, not everybody learns the same way. So it's really important for us as instructors to be able to address each individual in our classroom, address their needs as individuals. And so we really look to design an interactive platform that can, as best as we can, replicate the classroom experience. So we follow what's called the VARC learning methodology. VARC stands for visual, audio, read, write, and kinesthetic. And those are all the different learning styles that people may have. And they'll usually have combinations of 2 or 3, maybe even all 4. I generally find, for example, that in the AEC industry, it is visual and kinesthetic. So kind of like monkey see, monkey do. But certainly we have a lot of people that grew up with textbooks that want to read along with whatever they're learning, or people that are, the younger generation grew up with podcasts. So it's really important for them to be able to have the audio narration. So we incorporate all of those different learning styles in our platform and make it really interactive for the learner. You'll also find other ways that they can personalize. So different themes, dark theme, light theme. There's different languages, so they can flip back and forth between languages. If they're, let's say, trying to learn in English, but want to flip back to their native Spanish or German or French, just because there's something they're not understanding. You'll also find that because we are in alignment with all of the Autodesk certified professional and ACI credentials, that we will identify anything that's going to be on those exams in within the courses themselves. So if you see a topic, let's say curtain walls, for example, there will be a badge in the lower right corner of this course saying this will be on your exam. Make sure you know that stuff inside out and backwards. So that's just kind of a little bit of history of who we are, why we do things the way we do. And I wanted to really kind of identify that we're not a software company that is creating training on how to use our software. We are an education company that is training on how to use the software of the partners that we have. So touching now on all of I've said so far and that kind of spoke wheel, our unique customer value proposition is that, and we are the only company that can do all of these things. Our content can live on any learning management system and in any language. We can provide content that is classroom, company, and project specific for workflows. and we can track data on a really secure platform. Plus, we are providing you with a really dedicated team of customer success experts that are going to help not only you drive within your own training programs, but also within your clients as well. So let's get into the actual education solutions. I'll just read what's on the screen here. But with Global eTraining, you can equip your faculty and your staff to deliver the best in high quality, cost effective education within a remote virtual environment. With extensive tracking and visibility, access to our pre existing training library, and complete freedom with our course building technology, the ideal online learning solution is at your fingertips. So, why Global eTraining? Number of reasons here. So obviously our solution is very cost effective. For you as ATCs and as educators, really easy to convert any of the training that you have already done, whether it be PowerPoints, whether it be videos, whether it be webinars, into online courses that can be trackable. We can blend online training with instructor-led virtual classes. As I mentioned, that was our original intent in building the platform. And that is actually one of the questions I hear a lot from those ATCs or other resellers that are looking to sell instructor-led classes. This is not intended to cannibalize your business. This is intended to augment and to bring you new revenue streams. So it will actually expand your business by starting to introduce instructor-led and blended training. You'll be able to actually manage and measure student progress to make sure you're meeting any of those curriculum objectives, driving results with dynamic program tools, building custom learning programs and lessons. So really tapping into any of the clients that are saying, hey, I have a very specific workflow I need you to teach. Increasing your student productivity and engagement, and then obviously increasing environmental sustainability because we are now all online. So educational solutions overview. Some of this is a little bit of a recap, and I will go into in more detail. But so as I'd mentioned, really personalized learner experience. We have a simple course builder. I'll dive into a little bit more of that. All of our content is cloud-based, so everything is really easy to access if you have an internet connection, and no matter your device. So right now, as you might have seen, I'm on an iPad. I've taken training on my phone. I've done it on my 75-inch flat screen on the wall. Kind of any device, as long as you have an internet connection, you can access your training 24/7. You'll have access to our entire library of pre-existing content. You'll be able, easy to use reporting and management tools. So to be able to actually report back to your clients, virtual instructor-led classroom options, screen share video tools, skills gap assessments, and custom learning paths. Again, we provide you with all the customer success management, account management, partner management, and technical help desk that you'll need. So diving into our actual content, now obviously we focus on Autodesk. That is what we do as organizations. We are Autodesk Learning Partners. We are Autodesk Training Centers. Like I said, that's where we started. What you'll see here, though, is that we do also carry a number of other different products. They all come by client request. And I know that some of you also dabble into other areas as well as Autodesk as well. So some of the organizations I'm working with, you may need additional BIM content. You may need content on digital twins, content on specific workflows. How are we using Autodesk with Bluebeam or what have you? So we provide you with, currently, I think there's over 400 different courses on the platform that you have access to that you will be able to use in your training in order to provide to your clients. And then we have a large number of courses in development. This is a small snapshot of what's currently in development. I think I have another 100 courses over and above this that are coming out within the next year. On this note, if there are specific courses that you are looking for, I absolutely want to hear those, or even topics within those courses, because that is how I move things through the development pipeline. Everything that you see, everything that I'm showing you, whether it comes to our courseware or our technology, actually comes by client and partner request. We really look to you guys to tell us what the industry is needing. So the more demand I get for certain topics, for certain courses, or for certain technology improvements, the quicker I get to move those things through the development cycle. So coming to the educator experience, flipping the classroom. As I mentioned, we are not looking to cannibalize your business. We want to help you make your business more streamlined, more efficient, and drive additional revenue. So when we look at flipping the classroom is what it's called. So imagine a world where the students are already coming in prepared. The number one issue I hear, or annoyance, if you will, I hear from instructors is when they're coming in to teach, let's say, a Revit workflow, and you have a group of students, and you have some that are more advanced, and then you have some that have never even opened Revit. And now you have to go back and teach the basics. You're teaching Revit 101 when you're really there meant to be able to teach, a specific workflow. We're wasting the instructor's time, we're wasting the client's time, and we're wasting all of the students' time. So being able to actually flip the classroom in this way where the students are coming in prepared for that, we have a number of tools we can do with that. So we can go and use skills gap assessments. We can use prerequisite courseware to go in and create that blended learning environment. So, and again, so virtual classrooms combined with the generator courses and then file sharing, the students are being able then afterwards to submit their completed assignments for grading alongside with any of their eTraining quiz scores. So making it a really kind of all-encompassing 360 solution for you when it comes to how you're delivering these classes. Getting into the blended learning and coming back to those prerequisites I was talking about. So one being the prerequisites. So we've got self-paced online modules and or skills gap assessments to build the baseline knowledge before that class. So we know we're going to do this specific Revit workflow. These are the skills they need to know before they come into that class. And then you're teaching that interactive class. You're doing engaging hands-on multimedia activities with your live instructors to deepen the learning and collaboration. We know that the live environment is always preferable to many of the students. They want that blend because they do want to be able to ask questions. They do want, that live environment type feel. And then, of course, like I'd mentioned, the post-class resources. So they have an on-demand library that they come back to review and refresh and apply their skills. So we also know from statistics that people will only remember within about 6 months, about 50% of what you taught them in that class. And then about a year later, you're only looking at about 20%. So for them to have that on-demand library of the content that we are providing, plus the content that you are providing to come back and review and refresh themselves is extremely valuable to your learners and to your clients. So talking about those skills gap assessments, this is one of those ways we can do that prerequisite. You can certainly build let's say a mini course and say, these are all the skills that you need. Or you can go into the skills gap assessments. These can be completely customized. So we certainly have our out of the box ones where it's like, here's everything that's Revit, here's everything that's civil, where the user would go and take an exam and then figure out, say one user scores 70, one scores 30, and so on. You can also customize these so it is just specific to your class. These are the skills you need before you enter this particular class for this workflow. Then what it'll do after they have answered this exam is it will build a custom learning path for them. So that really answers the differences between the beginner, intermediate, or advanced users. If you have users coming into your class with those different capabilities, you may have somebody that needs to do 2 hours of training, and you may have somebody who needs to do 5 or 10. We don't want to run all of them through 10. That's not a great experience for those advanced learners. So to be able to, again, customize according to their needs so that they're only doing the training that they require before they're coming into your classrooms. Then we talking about our content development platform. So our content development platform, the generator, which you would all have access to, this allows you to create any of your custom content. I've seen it used for anything from creating content from scratch to, and particularly when I'm working with, let's say an AEC or engineering organization, it'll be simple things like how to fill out your timesheet, or this is your performance development plan, and so forth, to then, of course, really complicated workflows. Where we've taken this a step further is allowing you to take any of the training that Global eTraining has already released and completely restructure and revise and augment that to make your custom courses. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's take what works and then just adjust to our needs. So like a really good example, I had an ATC that I was working with where the client had asked for Revit for project management, because that was, like a sticking need in their organization. But project managers don't need to know everything that Revit can do. They need just enough information to make them dangerous, right? So they took our 45-hour course and dumbed it down, if you will, to about 2 hours, added in a few things here and there about the company's best practices and standards. And we had that course rolled out to the organization and branded to the organization within 30 minutes. So that, they being able to kind of adjust on the fly and leverage the content that we already have, extremely valuable to you. Then we took that a step further and we offer AI powered course development. So where people were telling us they were spending the most time was in the technical writing, in the course layout, in the table of contents, even if you were, what topics do I need to include? So we've included or incorporated AI powered course development in here where you can just tell it those things. So it does let me zoom in. So I can say, what is the course I want to build? What is the topic? What is the ideal duration for this course? How familiar is the audience? Are they beginner? Are they intermediate or advanced? What language do I even want it built in natively? I've and I'll even show you an example where I built courses in Korean and Portuguese. I have no idea what they say, but I can do it. And then do I want it to do the slide narration, or do I want it to do that myself? And then even what gender do I want for that voice narration, male or female? And it will go and it'll do the vast majority of those courses for me. So it'll get me about 90% of the way there. It'll build the entire course layout, all the lectures and topics and slides. It'll do all the technical writing and all the audio narration. And then all I need to add is those custom pieces. So like the workflow videos, the screenshots of the project or tools that we're working with, and so on and so forth. The other great thing that this does is it allows you to control any IP and content updates. So let's say you are working with a client, like in that particular case that I talked about, where we need to deliver that, we've built this course for a client and we want to deliver it, we can actually control that IP. So that in that particular case, they hosted it on the client's platform, and the ATC was still able to control the IP, where they could claw it back if they wanted to. They could push updates to it from the generator without having to have access to the client's systems. And yet the most important thing is the ability to be able to see all of the different reporting. So I currently have content on over 200 different learning management systems around the world. If I, let's say, go update my Civil 3D course next week, it will update on all of them at the same time. And so it can be the same thing for any custom content that you're creating, whether it be, content you're creating for your own ATC or content you're creating for clients. It's one easy button push and it will update all the different learning management systems. It will update all of the learner transcripts and so on and so forth. Then we get into, so again, learning with the generator. We're really following, and I touched on this already, but the generally accepted closed loop of learning. So, we know as educators, this is how we want to do things. So we want to introduce a topic, that's the lecture. We want to demonstrate how that works. And I see that there's a spelling error in there. I'm going to go and yell at my marketing team. We want to demonstrate that with an activity or make sure that they can replicate it with a practical exercise. And then we wrap everything up with assessments or exams to make sure that they have actually absorbed that information and knowledge. Now, the Get Learning Management System, important to note that, many of you have probably already been on it. This slide should actually look familiar, or that screen should look familiar to you. Important to note that when we are dealing with you as ATCs and or your clients, is that we can do departmentalization. So if you are just doing classrooms where you just have, generic learners in and you only need them in one department, that's fine. If you at the same time are also dealing with corporate clients where you need that departmentalization, you can't have corporation A in the same department as corporation B, we can actually manage for that. So you can have kind of a little whole group of different departments that you can manage and make sure that they can't see what the others are seeing. That will allow you to create custom content for those individual clients, and yet you'll be able to see everything that all of them are doing. We can white label. So this can be, as you've seen, we've done with the Autodesk Learning Partner portal that is branded to Autodesk Learning Partners. We can white label for your own ATCs as well, so that it is a really seamless look to anything else that you're delivering. It is all your name and your branding on those pages. Our platforms are designed for the ultimate in scalability, so we can support both, individual users. I have architecture firms with like 2 to 5 architects, the small niche boutiques, and then we have like the big multidisciplinary behemoths with 60,000 users. So we have that ultimate scalability to be able to support you no matter what size of clients that you're dealing with. Our contracts can also be prorated and aligned with any software, training, or service agreements that you're doing. And then security, of course, we are the only platform that I'm aware of that meets and exceeds all security and compliance standards. So we are GDPR compliant, we're SOC 2 compliant, we've passed all penetration testing. Our servers are located in central Canada, and we do also have EU servers as well. And then also from the admin perspective or from the instructor perspective, then we start diving into what the admins have the ability to see when it comes to reporting. So we can easily add and manage learners. We can control access. We can assign courses, set up those different department structures, report on individual activity, team activity. We can see in the learning management system everything from bird's eye view of all of your different clients right down to a specific user's um, uh, transcripts, as far as like, what did John answer on this question of that quiz? How many times did he write it? What did he score each time? And so on and so forth. Obviously, the idea here is to help you increase engagement and retention by giving them giving you and your clients a centralized learning management system, really simple, easy to use interfaces, reporting structures. So even if you are working with B2B clients, they can actually have access to reporting as well and be able to help manage their learners. To be able to experience consistent and standardized training. That is the most important thing that we're seeing in the industry right now with this skills gap crisis, is that we need to standardize training across the industry. Badges of completion, we provide those as well. So for any of your users that are looking for, they do have these badges of certification for those Autodesk courses that they can post on social media and so forth. And then certification. So also important to note that you can actually provide your ATC certificate of completion with any of these courses that we are providing for you. Like I had already mentioned, our course content is mapped to the APC. If any of you are working with building transformations and building smart or building smart, we also provide certifications for those as well. So we're seeing a lot of that with the ATCs we're working with right now in certain regions, where they're providing the ATC certificate, but also being able to sell the building smart certifications, because that is something that is really starting to grow. And then the Autodesk plugin. So this is obviously a plugin that sits within the Autodesk software. This is kind of a bonus add-on. It will help your students where it takes the training, and particularly the training that you are doing in class, and makes it contextual. So whatever they're doing in the software, it is now showing the content specifically related to that. So if I was building a wall, it's going to show me the training specific to walls. If I then move on to putting a window in that wall, it would switch to showing me the training specifically related to windows. Then from there, the kind of the best features of this, if you will, would be that you can put your custom content in here. So if you're working with, you have specific workflows you want to do, you want to deliver things that are really kind of your bread and butter or your secret sauce, you can put these in here where they're only available to your clients. And so that's kind of an added value that you can provide. We also provide an AI dynamic search assistant within the courses as well. So I can go in here and say, what is, and again, this can be applicable to any of the courses that you are creating and releasing and teaching. So I can go back in and say, what was it that John said about this? How am I building this particular corridor in that workflow? And it will then summarize the answer for me and then lead me directly to that section of the course. So lead me directly to that corridor that John showed me. Translations, of course, really important in when we're dealing globally now. So we can translate into over 25 different languages. If there are languages we don't have, please do ask me. But I think we've covered all the major languages that are being used in the industry right now. Really important in that we have done technical translation tools. So we have programmed these specifically for technical language. This is not a Google Translate because we know that gets it wrong. It's really important in our industry that we are translating into technical language. Having said that, all of these translations are editable. Every once in a while, we are going to see that there is going to be something incorrect. It'll get us about 95% of the way there. But like, for example, the last one I saw was we translated a course to German, and the word plane, instead of like a reference plane, it came out as aeroplane. So really quick and easy to go and edit that. Again, as I've already mentioned, you can build content in any native language, and then you can also duplicate those translations. So being able to, let's say I have region-specific content, they're doing something, let's say I'm translating something into Spanish, but it's done differently in this region versus that region. So I can really focus on and kind of adjust and tweak those courses for those regions without having to do all of that rework. Let's just build it once and kind of tweak and adjust as needed. And then, of course, as I've mentioned over and over, we have all sorts of reporting tools. So you have the reporting tools in the LMS itself. We've also created extensive dashboards for you because no one wants to look at a bunch of spreadsheets. I mean, certainly you can dive into the weeds if you want, but to be able to go and look at all of this data and analytics and really pretty charts and graphs. And again, we're looking at everything. We've divvied it up into there are like executive summaries, monthly analytics, learner transcripts, diving into those skills gap assessments. So we can look at overall organization right down to individual learners and all of these. And then again, this is available to you as partners and also available to any of your B2B clients. And I've touched on this as well. So onboarding and customer success. We don't expect you to be experts in the online training world. We provide you with all of the onboarding that you need. We provide you with account managers, partner managers, customer success managers, help desk, and for your B2B clients as well. Any business account also gets that same added value, where they're getting an assigned customer success and account management agent. So we are really here to help you drive your adoption, help you drive your training objectives, help you drive dollars to your bottom end in your business line. So our partner team, I have an extensive team. We're all over the world. This is kind of highlights. I was in Morocco. You may have seen Paula in Morocco as well. I believe some of you would have spoken to her. Again, this is just a small grouping of them. If any of you have been on any of our other ALP webinars, you would have seen and heard Dee Dee doing all the walkthroughs of the ALP platform. We are really here to support you with sales support, customer success. When it comes to even, let's say you are trying to work out a deal with a B2B client, we'll come in and we'll help you with that. Account management, help desk, product knowledge. As I just mentioned, we'll help you drive those business objectives with enrollments, adoption, and engagement. And we will do all of those customer success calls with you in collaboration. So your two main points of contact will be me and Paula. I, as the Global Director of Partnerships, Paula will be your partner manager. I've also included here a meeting link. So if you want to dive further into, because I know I wanted to cover a lot today in a short period of time, but I do want to talk to you. We want to really explore what your specific needs are. Every ATC I work with has different needs. So we would love to help you really evaluate where those are and where we can help drive additional dollars and additional revenue streams. So please go and book that meeting with us, and we'll dive deeper into specific platform demos, specific strategies, and so on.
Thank you, Lorinda, for taking us through all of this information. I'll encourage everyone who's online to, as we mentioned, start typing in questions if there's something immediate that you heard or didn't hear that you'd like Lorinda to walk us through while we're all here online.
I'm using Thinkific now. I can switch to global for pricing. Oh, yes. So pricing, that slide disappeared. We have a promotion going on, so we've designed something specific to ATCs where we will provide you with 50 concurrent licenses, so that meaning that they are named users, but you can move them around, so that, like to adjust for your different classes, right? So you can have, let's say, a group of 10 users in this class and 10 users in that class, or 30 or whatever. But then when that class ends, you can then reassign those licenses, or some of the ATCs I'm working with have worked out packages for their users where they're providing them, 3 months access or 6 months or 12 months, whatever it is that you want. We are providing it to you at not even education pricing, but at discounted pricing. So 50 users would normally be for a year. Let me actually go and find that slide. On that package would be over, 11,250. Education pricing on that is 6,000. We have done a special program for the ATCs where you are getting that for your internal use, whether that be, like I said, classrooms that you've got with individuals or your B2B customers. And that can be, so that we're doing that for $4,800 a year. And then you can, like I said, reassign those licenses. Really handy in that they are all still named users, though. So you could end up with those 50 licenses, but have 200 or 300 people have run through training over the course of a year or two. All of their training records still remain intact. So if you then, let's say, go in and re-enroll those users, they can pick up from where they left off. They can see all their previous training records. Or if you're working with corporate clients, then those, really important for them to see where what their staff have done in the past. We're including access to the generator for that course customization. We're including, like I said, the customer success and partner management. Additional licenses may be purchased as necessary pro rata. So if you decide you need more licenses than 50 6 months down the road, you're only paying half the cost for those. And then we're also rolling that into our level 1 like a hybrid reseller program, which is not normally something we would do. But that allows you to then also earn revenue share on B2B and B2C sales. So if you are working with corporate clients and let's say you're training a small group, but then you have the opportunity to even just sell to that whole group or to the larger organization, you'll earn a 20% revenue share on any of those. And again, my team will help you do those sales.
To clarify that, when we talk about licenses, what Lorinda is mentioning is access to the global eTraining platform for online
Yes.
courses. This is not directly connected to your ATC membership. That's a different package or a different subscription. Basically, that's to be an authorized training center, have access to product licenses, branding, certified instructor status for your instructors, marketing, you name it, basically. So the way to look at this is as a way of sourcing learning material as part of the work you do as an ATC. And because you are an ATC, Global eTraining has agreed with Autodesk to offer this very preferential pricing on their platform. So it's a great thing to consider, especially if you're developing your own training material at this stage of complementing that with these solutions and really doing the flipped classroom approach. So hopefully that makes sense. And I said, Lorinda, can you hear me now?
I can, but you're still breaking up.
Okay, so there's another question though in the chat about the 50
Yes,
licenses
50
and whether,
licenses
yeah.
means 50 users, and each user can access all the training. They can access the plugins, they can access all of that content on the platform. That also, but then you get to decide when those licenses get reassigned. So if you decide you want to, some of the ATCs I'm working with are saying you can have access to the platform for as long as this course is, or like a month or 2 months or 3 months. Some of them are saying, they're upping the price of their classrooms, let's say, and doing it as an added value. So we're going to do the online training. We're also going to deliver it to you, or the instructor-led training. We're also going to rebuild that for you online, so that they have both options, and then give access to the client for the entire year, and then just increase the cost. So again, moving, so it's not either A or B, you're doing both, and just increasing incrementally the cost of your training.
Uh, white labeling, is it possible to have a custom domain as well?
So custom domains, you can have a custom domain redirect or do domain masking. I can't do the custom domain on the platform itself, but absolutely, I have a number of resellers and partners that I work with, that are doing domain masking. So it'll be like, atc.com, but it actually redirects them to our site and to your portal. We can also do, depending on whether or not there's needs for this within your organizations, if any of you have single sign-on out capabilities, that we can do single sign-on from your platforms to ours for any of you that do have that capability.
While we wait for that, I just wanted to take the opportunity to mention as well. So clearly you are aware that Autodesk has launched the Autodesk Certified Instructor Enablement Portal, which is being powered by Global eTraining as a benefit of being an ACI. This is to some extent connected to what you've heard today, but also not. So I just want to say as a clarifying point that your instructors will get access for free through Autodesk to all of this material. And it's for their personal enablement, their professional development training, so that they can stay ahead of the game and learn Autodesk software. It's of course a great way of testing the solution. And if you then decide that this is the right approach for your training courses and or training interventions and your customers, that's at that point where you can access preferential pricing to then purchase that. Lorinda mentioned that there's always feedback being looked for in terms of the type of products that are being covered, languages as well. So for those of you who are members in the AACI LinkedIn group, there's a survey running directly by Autodesk at this stage where they're asking for that input. What type of courses would you like to see in addition to what's already in this vast library? And are there language requests that you would like to see? And I think I'm right in saying that if you request through that, Autodesk will then review that with Global eTraining and potentially make additional courses available to the portal, and then that would automatically feed through on both sides here. So I'd like to encourage you to check out the LinkedIn group survey and share your input. And I'm pretty certain that that will lead to some additional materials here, because I think the Global eTraining team are doing that really well of picking up feedback. So take that opportunity while we have it.
So that is even a little bit of a credibility statement for your end users, for your clients, to be able to say, this is the same training that the Autodesk instructors are taking. And we're, so to be able to, kind of sell that to them, if you will. The other thing that, and what was the second thing that you were saying, Thomas? Oh, about,
feedback on courses and localization.
yes,
So yes.
yes, yeah, localizations. So we did ask during some of those sessions with the ACIs on feedback for because we have the majority of the content right now. I think everything is currently in French, obviously English, Spanish, German, French, Spanish, German, English. What is there's I've got some courses in Korean. I've got some courses in Japanese. And then a few other languages. We're really looking to hear from you all. What is the priority languages that you're looking for in your regions? Because we are looking for, what else do we need to be translating? Where are you using native languages rather, like Polish is one I've heard a number of times, for example, that people are not speaking English there. So we're really looking for that feedback from you also on what languages that you need these courses translated into so we can make that priority list.
Perfect, perfect. I currently don't see any further questions, but since we're having this audio issue, I think maybe we will round off. And the great thing, I see Lorinda put the link to book a meeting, so that is a great call to action as we round off
Yeah,
here.
so I put that link in the chat, Thomas, but I only mine will only send to hosts and panelists. So if you can post that to everybody, that would be great.
Perfect. I will do that now. And then thank you, Lorinda, for being with us and sharing all of this content. We will share the recording afterwards, and fingers crossed that the audio isn't too messed up. I will see what I can do about it. And if you have any questions, connect with Lorinda. You can also go through Knowledge Point, and we'll put you in touch with the team.
Yeah. That was the other thing you'd mentioned was the LinkedIn group. So make sure you're checking out the LinkedIn group. There's all sorts of updates going on about the ACI program, about the platform for the ALPs and ACIs. And I believe you've got surveys in there on languages too.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that said, so thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Lorinda, and we look forward to seeing the follow-up. So, yeah, it's so great that you could join us.
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon.